Recording in progress.
Welcome to Malcolm. No, actually not Malcolm. It's welcome to Manning Up with Deborah Manning. Heard on Malcolm Presents. I always get that confused. I, I,
There's a lot of names in there.
I feel like I'm President Biden
Oh,
or
please,
or,
we'll talk about that later.
or candidate Trump. Anyway, again, let's start this again. Welcome to Manning Up with Deborah Manning. I'm Malcolm Berman presenting my co-host Deborah Manning.
How are you today, Malcolm?
Fine. How are you doing?
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Well, I'm sorry I missed last week. I got a little bit of the South Carolina flu. So,
Ah,
it hits you hard. So I was just not in real good shape. And I'll tell you, this face was not good.
yeah, I know you did. It didn't sound good.
No, I don't know. But, so you put huge amounts of zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin C, and it took me about 4 days to kind of get over it. So who knows if it worked or not? But at
Yeah,
least I'm
but
okay.
at
So
least you're your own chipper self. Actually,
I am my own.
it's not so much. It's not so much the voice. It's sort of like the attitude. When you're sick, the
Correct.
attitude gets like this.
That's not. Well, the whole reason we're doing this podcast called Manning Up. My last name, of course, is Manning, and of course, we're going to be talking about self-reliance and self-independence. We are on a crazy time of this world, to say the least. And of course, the last couple of days, we saw some very interesting. We'll talk a little bit about President Biden, but the report that came out from the special counsel said that he was not competent to be able to stand trial for the crime of keeping documents that he shouldn't have been keeping, private, ultra sensitive, secret documents that he observed as a senator, as a vice president, as a president, blah, 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 and all of that. I have not read the entire report, and I'll talk about that probably entire report maybe next week. Me being an ex news reporter out of Los Angeles, I really do want to get my facts straight before I go through it. However, I think in some cases, I only read like the first, I'd say maybe 20 or 30 pages. And I think in a couple of cases, it may have been a little bit overblown. So we'll see exactly. I want to read the entire 381 pages, and then we can chat about it next week.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That seemed to me to be a hatchet job. I mean, there were type of things that he didn't say he's not going to be persecuted because of he's an old man that has a bad memory. That was sort of like an addendum. Like he said it wasn't a what he did wasn't a crime, and then he added because it's not because he's an old man, it's just not a crime, but he's also an old man, uh, with memory problems, which he didn't have to add.
well, they did mention that the special counsel did mention that he had committed a crime, which was to have taken confidential, top secret documents from the SCIF, which is the private area that lawmakers have to be able to review confidential information. But they found information in his garage and in his home, various other places that should not have been there.
Okay,
So in fact, it
yeah. Let's
it
not
was
get
wrong.
into that now. What I want to get into the crazy weather we're having.
It's really interesting. We decided this last 2 or 3 days. We've been here now in South Carolina for 8 years, and we got weather here. I got to tell you, we got weather, and finally decided we needed to be able to do some repair work. So we ended up doing a power wash on the entire house, repainted the entire house, did all of the repairs that were necessary, and it was the best money I could have ever spent. It was expensive, no doubt about it, but decided to do it, and it made a huge difference. So our big task today was to clean up the chicken coop. Of course, we have an egg business, and we had purchased back in November, end of November, about a half of, well, let's see, about a dozen chicks. And today was graduation day. They graduated, and they were in with the big girls. And of course, we've had chickens here since Oh my gosh, I guess about 7 years or so. So we have a pretty good clientele now, people who like to have farm raised, pasture raised, organic chickens, and what have you. And the difference in the egg quality is remarkable. What's interesting is that we don't feed them anything that we wouldn't eat ourselves. Obviously, we feed them the grains and the oyster shells and all of that that you need. But we'll feed them the fruit in the morning, and nothing, it can't be spoiled. It has to be good solid fruit. For example, we're starting to give them some strawberries, and we're giving them, we'll do peaches in the summertime. But then in the afternoon, we'll give them vegetables, anything from broccoli to lettuce, anything, what have you. And it really makes a difference. So we've been really enjoying the hens, and we had to sit in the run as my husband let the little girls out, and they're looking out, going, "Oh my gosh,
So it's a whole new
what
world
are
out
we going
there.
to do now?" And the big girls all sat back in the corner, and we were watching the little girls as they came out. Little girls are, "Oh no, where are we?" And the big girls are, "Who are these people?" Okay. We had a couple of little scuffles, kind of like the Sharks and the Jets out of West Side Story. But we did intercede with a gentle bamboo stick to kind of break things up a little bit. But it's nice to have them all integrated at this point. And we got our
Yeah.
first couple of eggs. It's been really weird because getting back to the weather situation, everyone in South Carolina has had no eggs for about the last, I would say, 3 months approximately. Now
Mhm.
that's normal because chickens will molt and they aren't going to be producing eggs when they're molt and what have you. But this time we had a second molt because of the weather. So they've just finished their second molt, and we're now just starting to get eggs from the older girls.
Mhm.
The younger girls will start to produce eggs probably in March, something like that. But it's fun. Here I'm a Southern California born girl, a surfer girl, and here I am as it's Debbie Farmer, and I'm having a blast. I'm having an
You sound like you
absolute
are.
utter blast. It really is so interesting to watch these animals. But we've got a big storm that's coming in, apparently coming in from Texas, and unlike in California where you folks had a horrible storm that come in off Hawaii as the Pineapple Express, it then converts over into Texas, and then it starts up and it picks up all of the Gulf water, the warm water there, and then it then proceeds to us and dumps on us. Now I mentioned to you last month, January, we of course had been having a terrible drought for the last part of 2020. We got 16 inches of rain in 1 month. Now, normally we will get about 4 inches of rain, maybe 5 inches of rain, but we got a full 16 inches of rain. So,
Well,
fortunately, I married well, and my handyman husband had all of the flood control fixes in place. So we were fine. We didn't have any
well,
flooding, thankfully.
in beautiful Southern California, we've had more rain, I think, in the first 4 days in February than they have all month.
Well, I
And
remember this reminds me of the winter of 1969, which of course is ancient history. But my family and I were up in Mammoth Mountain, and they got 20 feet of snow, which I understand they have now duplicated that
yeah,
in the first couple of days of February. It's crazy.
yeah. And
It's
as a
crazy.
matter of fact, there's supposed to be another front that comes in next week. Right now, we're recording on February 10th.
Holy moly.
By next weekend, we're supposed to get another thing. I feel sorry for the poor people who live on either the side of the hill or on top of the hill. There are so many mudslides,
Yeah.
and which I found out you cannot get insured for mudslides.
No, you can't. And with any type of flooding, for example, here, you the flooding we really can't get flood insurance here. Flood insurance is very difficult. Plus, flooding is considered to be an act of God.
Well, maybe God has to get the insurance. But the thing
I
is,
guess.
but I didn't realize when I owned my own home. Now this is going back. I've been out of my house now since I think 2002, no, about 2010.
Hmm.
And I remember when we had some big rains, and I had flood insurance, but the flood came from the water came from underneath. It it,
What do you
it
mean?
it seeped through the floor. It didn't come in through the roof.
Oh no.
And I found out that the you're not flood insurance doesn't include if it comes up from the floor. It has to come in through the roof or something breaking on the side. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
But
And I bet many of our viewers don't either.
and also what's happening right over here with the rains, the houses are coming off of the foundation. That's not covered with flood insurance because that's sort of like mud or slippage. I feel sorry for these poor homeowners, especially the ones who've been, you know, the older folks who've been into their house, 20, 30 years and paid off their mortgage and say, oh, now I'm clean and free and clear. And now they have to spend, 40, 50, $60,000 or maybe more
Maybe even
to
more.
redo their house. Oh, by the
Well,
way,
that's that.
I
Go
don't,
ahead.
before I forget about that, we had an earthquake yesterday.
Holy moly.
4.5, set near your hometown. Actually, it was Malibu up north of here.
Oh my gosh. Because we moved out of Santa Barbara, that was 8 years ago. And there's one thing to be said about South Carolina. When
Mm.
we have bad weather, they let us know. And with earthquakes, talk about just a crapshoot, I'll tell you. Any damage at all, Malcolm?
No, not my house.
Good.
It's sort of like a 4.5 is nothing.
It's not that strong.
They talk about it once on the TV and that's it on the news.
Very good.
But it's just so crazy. I was speaking to my niece in Florida. She had an earthquake in Delray.
That's wild.
That it's changing. She said she's waiting for us to have a hurricane. Well, we did. Uh,
Yep.
and then of course it's not only in the U.S. It's all over the world.
Well, that's one of the things that, and we should probably get back to that main theme of manning up. In terms of being prepared, uh, we need to be prepared. And so, for example, I use QVC, good old QVC
Mm.
shopping, and we've stocked up on batteries to be able to make sure that our freezers stay up for 6 to 8 hours, our refrigerators stay up for 6 to 8 hours,
Do you have a
and
generator?
we have a generator, um, but once again, it's very limited. And if you get one of those generators, I mean that's the Cadillac. You're looking at anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000.
Mm.
Doggone it, I left that money back in California. So, so we use these smaller batteries to be able to make sure that our freezers downstairs stay
Stay
frozen.
frozen.
But the nice thing about it is that having a basement, which is so different for me, we basically, if something happened up on top, we literally could live downstairs. And I think it's good. My mom used to talk to me about making sure that you have enough canned goods and enough frozen foods and enough to be able to get by for a week to 2 weeks approximately. And I know that's considered to be, I don't know, conspiratorial or some such nonsense. Who the heck knows anymore? But I think it's a good idea. I think that we need to be prepared because some oddball things. It started in 2020 with COVID, with oddball things happening,
Well,
and more oddball things are happening.
the big thing I remember with COVID at the beginning, what the shortage was? Toilet paper.
Yes, yes,
You couldn't go to the store and buy toilet paper, even at Costco.
yes.
You would go there and they were, you would have to call up, when is your shipment coming in? Because about 10 minutes after the shipment came in, it was all gone. And then they limited it. I think it was two packages per person.
And the only reason that we ended up being in good shape here was that, of course, there was panic in the Walmart that we shot, and everybody was loading up on the toilet paper. You're absolutely right. and we only subscribe to single ply because I don't want to stop
Oh.
up our sewage system overnight. So they had plenty of single ply.
No, I'm a double ply man myself. I have
No,
to.
no, it's single ply. I'm sorry, I'm not stopping up anything.
It's not a topic I like to talk about. But it's how many tissue, how many what do they call it, sections do you go per wipe?
I know. That's a little bit too much detail.
Yeah, but you got to do it, and nobody talks about it. We're the only show on
Right.
how many sheets per wipe do you use? As a matter of fact, if you're listening out there, please call us up and tell us. I have
Yeah,
not
please
seen.
email us the
Yeah,
number.
I have not seen that on Facebook. Because that's something everybody wants to avoid.
Everybody wants to, absolutely, everybody wants to.
Well, I think I told the story. When I was a young man, when I was in my, I think, mid-20s, I had an older guy that was 40 or 50. Yeah, remember, I consider 40 or 50 older when you're in your 20s. And he said, Malcolm, what's the most overrated thing in the world? And I'm about 25, 26. And I say, no, Hal, what's the most overrated thing in the world? He said, sex. I look at him like he's crazy. To me, that's the number one. Aside from breathing, that's the number two thing. I think breathing is probably more important. I said, okay, Hal, yeah, yeah. He said, you know what's the most underrated thing in the world? And I said, no, Hal. He said, when you go to the bathroom after you've been constipated for 2 weeks. And I looked at him like I was crazy. Of course, he didn't use those exact words. But now as I get older, everything is regularity.
No kidding.
I remember when I was like 8, 9 years old, my mother always used to ask me, "Did you go to the bathroom yet?" I thought she was crazy.
Hmm.
Of course, everybody goes to the bathroom, don't they? But
Well, I do. I do. That really leads into my next little topic. Um, I think it was last April. I was starting to come up on my birthday, and I was thinking, now what could I possibly want to ask for my birthday and what have you. And since I was going to be reaching the big 70, I thought I needed to have something that was really important to me, something substantial, something that would last a long time. And okay, diamonds, yeah, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay, no payment. No, what I decided to do was I decided to truly change the way I was eating. Now, we're both smart people, but like your friend Hal said, I mean, there's some really crazy things that go on when we reach this particular age. And I decided to give a book a try that I figured, I've been on Weight Watchers, I've been on Noom, I've been on Jenny Craig, every possible diet program and what have you, everything. Okay. But at any rate, I tried this book, and I've got it right here. Well, this is a diet. This one, okay. It is the 10-day detox diet. So I figured, what the heck? I got 10 days.
you
I'll
hope.
give it a shot. Why not? I got 10 days. I can do it. So I started on this diet, and amazingly, the menus were incredibly tasty. I mean, not just good. I mean, incredibly tasty. And so I'm 2 or 3 days into this, and they ask us, for example, I've been a coffee fiend because I'm an ex-news reporter for a long, long time. They asked me to kind of cut back on the coffee, which I did, and I got the coffee hangovers and all of that. But once I kind of got through all of that, I kept making the diet, and I was making the recipes and all of that. And doggone it, after the 10 days, I was down about 7 to 8 pounds.
Mhm.
And I thought, how is this? How is this possible? No, no, I'll gain it all back, what have you. But I'm going to try another 10 days. Tried another 10 days. Sure enough, I went down another 7, 8, 9, 10 pounds. The oddball thing about it was, all of a sudden, I didn't have acid reflux.
Hmm.
I was taking medication for acid reflux. I was able to stop the acid reflux medication. The other thing that was odd was that I was able to sleep better. So I'm on this like for 20 days or so, and I'm down about 14, 15 pounds. And I figure, I'm not dumb. Why don't I just continue this?
Yeah.
Well, yours truly is down a big 40 pounds at this point.
Wow.
And love the recipes. I cannot recommend it says it's a diet. It's not a diet. It's a meal plan. And it's by a Dr. Mark Hyman. And Dr. Mark Hyman, he's well known. He's from some fancy dancy university, but he has real practical stuff. And he likes to use a lot of spices. He uses like chia seeds, hemp hearts, flax seeds, etc., etc.
Actually, speaking about chia seeds, now
Yeah.
in the morning I have a drink of my wife prepares. It's like a tablespoon of chia seeds with half a teaspoon, no, a teaspoon of cinnamon. Squeeze in a lemon in water, mix it up, and I have that, and it's good.
Perfect. So the breakfast shake that he has us on is about a cup of the almond milk, and sometimes I use aloe water. Um, about a cup, and this is for two people. A cup of the blueberries, a cup of strawberries, the flax, a full tablespoon of the hemp hearts, and the chia seeds. Put a little bit of ice on top of it. Put a little protein powder on it. Mix the thing up, and I tell you, we do not eat until about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have to tell you, I'm not hungry. It's bizarre.
Well, yeah,
And
another thing I've been taking now instead of coffee in the morning, a
mhm.
thing called rice, R-Y, I think it's R-Y-C-E, and
What is it?
it's ground mushrooms, and you just put that in water.
Interesting. Where do
And,
you get it?
there's a place that my wife orders at, and actually she has now a chocolate drink, which is the same thing with ground mushrooms.
Interesting. Bring
But
it next time. Next show, bring it to me.
I hope they don't have any wild mushrooms. I've seen too many shows about that.
They're using wild mushrooms to
Yeah,
cure your PTSD.
right. Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, but as I mean, the big thing is that you have to be prepared for life. Oh, a thing that happened this week.
Yeah, yeah.
I was speaking to the people from the Neptune Society, and that's a cremation. And always said I want to be cremated because it's not that I want to be burnt, but I don't. Well, I don't want to die, but. The other options for being burnt is being cremated is being put in a box, in a coffin and put 6 feet underground, and I'm claustrophobic. Even the thought of it repulses me. But anyway, so I spoke to them, and they had a deal that you could pay it off in 6 years with no interest rate.
Oh, really?
So I signed up. So now, Anna doesn't have to worry if I wake if when I wake up and I'm dead. When she wakes up and I'm dead, she doesn't have to
Yeah.
panic.
And I know that a lot of people don't want to talk about it. You need to talk about it.
Everybody dies, and again,
Yeah.
I'm not getting any younger. I don't think, even by people say. It's funny. I think I look my age. I'm not. As I say, I stopped counting at 50.
Well, you know what? I don't think you're getting older. I think that at this point right now, I know for me, and I think also for you, I'm getting happier. I am getting a
No,
lot
I
happier.
stopped smoking marijuana years ago.
Oh,
No, but the thing which I notice as I get older, all my doctors have the names. They have allergies. They have, I just went to my neurologist. I'm going to my ophthalmologist on Tuesday. I have a urologist. I never went to urologists. I've always went to doctors. I mean, they were general practitioners. Well, how are you? Good. You're breathing fine. Your heart is okay. But now everything's an ology, and that comes with age.
You're right.
But anyways, with that thinking, that's why I said, okay, let me take care of myself, which is a practical matter. And the thing is, they when you well, for I'm an organ donor.
Good
So
for you.
the first thing you do is you call up the organ donors and say, hey, or whoever is, what do you want to do with my body? Because I think you have a certain time period, to get all the organs out. Then they call the Neptune Society, and they will pick you up, and and provide all the paperwork. They'll put the death certificate, the Social Security they'll take care of, and any other paperwork which I'm unaware of. Then they take you out and they burn you, and they give you a little urn.
I think what you're talking about is talk about independence, talk about being self-reliant. It's important. It's
Well,
absolutely important.
it's preparing the family.
It's
It's not,
absolutely important.
I don't want to think about like when I'm dead. Okay, throw me away. But I have family. I have wife and children.
Yeah,
And they go, oh, well, what do I do now? Now they know what to do.
that's right. Excuse me for just a second here. I have a
Y-
couple of cats
Yeah.
that are. What are you? What are you guys doing? You watch the birds. You go back to sleep.
Well, they're looking at the chickens. They're saying, and they're licking their chops.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
But
So, at
anyways,
any rate, we'll cut this a little bit short so that people can kind of absorb all of this. But
mm,
yeah, I'd like to ask you, offline a little bit about the Neptune Society because I think that's really the way to go.
yeah, that's a major one. And I think it was like $3,300 or $3,400 total package.
Geez, that's not
And
bad.
that's where they, if you die out of town, not out of the country, but out of town in a different state or something, it's no extra charge
Very good.
to ship you back here. And to me, it was the most logical thing. Even though, again, I don't like the concept of being cremated, but I don't like the concept of what happens with my body when I die. What I used to be is a joke. I said I want to be freeze dried.
No, it's just it's so interesting because you watch the news and you see the Toby Keith of the world. He was only 52, 56, or something, um, and it so unexpected,
Yeah.
and it reminds you to use every single moment and to be grateful and have such gratitude for every single moment. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I was never really particularly religious until I moved here. And I am so grateful to God to be able to have a second chance because when my husband of 33 years passed away, I didn't know what I was going to
Yeah.
do. And interestingly enough, and we can talk about this a little bit later, but I helped a friend this last week. She lost her husband just a couple of years ago. And all the books you read about trying to cope with losing a mate,
Yeah.
it's just hogwash. The reality of continuing with your life and finding a mission and finding a purpose, it's a very personal thing, but it's something that needs to be taken care of. And good for you. You help Miss Anna, your wife,
Yeah.
to be able to,
To
to,
handle
to
it.
go on
Yeah.
and to cope.
And yeah, because I'm not obviously giving her a great deal of money as of my well, I might in future years, but right now we spent all our inheritance while we're living, so there's no real bundle.
Good show.
But as you're talking about God, it's funny on an intellectual level, I don't believe in God. There's a nature's force. I know there's something more than me, but there's a nature's force. But on an emotional level, I believe in God. So they're two different ways.
Well, I do know that the path that we chose, this native Californian, 8 years ago, was tapped on the shoulder and told, protect the family. You can't live here in California anymore. You're going broke. You you cannot sustain here anymore. And from that point on, when my husband at the time came home from jury duty, and I said, "We got to sit down, we got to talk," that we got to leave. And it was a very tough decision, but the best decision that I could have possibly made for the family. And I'm so grateful, very
Yeah.
grateful. So thank you, God.
Well, would you believe it? Our time is up.
Is that right?
Actually, we've done 29 minutes and 35 seconds.
Well, I so enjoy our talk, Malcolm. We've been buds for a long time.
It seems like forever.
It is
Did
forever.
I go to your Sweet 16? I don't remember.
Oh, you are so kind.
But anyway, take care of your chickens, take care of your cats, and take care of fish.
I certainly will.
Um,
Fish is
but-
my husband. He's the artist.
Right, it's not another animal. Well,
Not
sometimes.
another animal. No.
And you hear the beep? That's our exit.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And we
Well, I
have
hope everybody will watch Malcolm Presents. He has some great other programs besides Manning Up. If you have any comments or quips, please go ahead, quip away.
Anyway, send my love to fish, and I will see you next week.
Absolutely.
And,
I
and,
love
and maybe we'll talk about a little more of our controversial things
I
with
think we probably will.
politics. Nah.
Maybe.
Bye.
Bye.